Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm finally home so I can do my really choppy style of editing again, and I'm really happy because I was getting tired of that program I was using while I was on vacation. Ukraine has been slowly wearing away at the flanks of Bakhmut over the past month. The main reason they did this to begin with is so that they could unblock the road by Svatove and south by Kolomyichykha to allow a safe withdrawal of the troops that were holding the last remaining parts of the city. The black line furthest to the west is what the front line used to be around this area, and you can see Russia used to control a way more sizable portion of the area nearby. However, with this new front line, it's going to make it a lot harder to advance. The whole reason Russia even tried to capture Bakhmut was because of a plan that they made back when they controlled Izium. Their plan was to push from Izium, Liman, and Bakhmut to surround Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, which are the two biggest cities of the Donetsk Oblast. Taking both of these cities would effectively make Russia win the Donetsk Oblast and this phase of the war. But there's one big obstacle in the way from Bakhmut, and clearly there is no Izium or Liman front anymore, which is the Donetsk Canal. It comes down from this reservoir on the Seversky Donetsk River and passes down into the northern edge of Horlivka. There's not many good crossing points that Russia's close to. There's this one over the MO3. Russia had control in the area across the canal, but this was wiped out by the counterattacks. The best and closest area for Russia to cross at is at Chasiv Yar, and with the old front line, an advance this way would be pretty easy. But now that the front line is looking more like this, an advance directly out from the city would come under fire from Ukrainian positions in Ivanivske and north by the Berhivka reservoir. This makes any renewed assault in the direction of Promove and Chasiv Yar pretty much worthless, which means Russia has to recapture these flank positions, and Ukraine is digging a ton of fortifications inside of them to hold on to them for as long as possible. The withdrawal of the Wagner group is also leading to a general weakening of the forces on the front line. Prigozhin has been very vocal about warning that the northern sector by Berhivka and Yahid is fucking blue. There you go, checklist. Choppy editing, why is it blue? They're the two staples of my videos. Prigozhin has been very vocal about how he thinks the northern flank is about to collapse if there's not enough men in the area. But the problem is Russia can't pull their troops off of the southern front line or anywhere else to move them into this area to protect it. I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. And yes, I'm using pen and paper notes. I took this while I was bored in a lecture. And a potential breakthrough in this area. Actually, let me hold on. ISW just added this new feature to their map where they show every known Russian field fortification, and I am wet right now. This is so nice. I love this so much. But the areas up by Bakhmut, if this loads, the areas up by Bakhmut, there's not many known fortifications except along the roads and pretty much behind the whole city. They have this really fortified line protecting Popasna from any sort of assault in the, from the direction of Berestove. But there's a general weak point in this area by what Filip Chadine, I think. And overall, this area has been more of an offensive area for Russia than a defensive one, so there's less fortifications around it. But any sort of potential breakthrough that Ukraine could cause here would effectively undo a year of Russian progress. Bakhmut has been the only real area of advance for Russian troops in the past year, and their morale would be absolutely floored if they just lost all of that. I think arguably the best thing about this is I think I just cut myself off mid-sentence in the editing, so we're gonna give Russia some boxes to talk about. It's been a while since I've made a video. Okay, for the only time ever, I actually want something I use the fill tool for on to be blue. So imagine that these little boxes are Russia's reserve troops that they're going to use to stop any kind of breakthrough. Right now, they're all hiding along the coast because it's just outside of HIMARS reach, but we'll put them right up by the front to describe it. On the fronts where Russia isn't really doing offensive actions, they have reserve troops in waiting. Reserves are generally used to quickly patch a breakthrough. The reason why the Kharkiv counterattack was so successful was because Russia moved all of their, you know what, why don't I actually stop being lazy? Let me take you back to the Let me take you back to the counterattack that Ukraine did in September. Russia had very limited reserves at the time, which is the reason why they did the mobilization. But after Ukraine started to step up attacks inside of the Kherson region, that's when they started to move some of their reserves there, and then it left a big area without any potential breakthrough stoppageness, and that's what allowed this entire Izium front to collapse. Right now, Russia has more reserves, and Ukraine has more attacking troops. Anticipating the offensive in Zaporizhzhia, Zaporizhzhia. Russia likely blew the Kakhovka dam. I don't know if it's 100% certain what happened, but they were able to move their reserves away from Kherson and onto this line. This was basically to prevent them from having to move them from the Svatove area or the Bakhmut area. And right now, with Ukraine having attacking troops, alright, we need to make another color. In Ukraine's attacking troops are currently threatening multiple directions now. They had the counterattacks going on at Bakhmut, the positional fights going on by Velika Novosilka, and before, the ones up by Svatove were more down by Kherson to engage those troops. But there's been a lot more troop movement noticed in Kupiansk, which is why they've had to switch to Svatove until the Dnipro river's flooding levels go down. But what their goal is to keep the pressure on in Bakhmut, to not allow them to move the reserves down into Zaporizhzhia to help stop a breakthrough. Because the less reserves that you have in an area, the easier it is to swarm them and collapse the front. And Bakhmut is sort of like Mariupol because it has emotional significance with inside of Ukraine. And the good thing is, if Ukraine does successfully recapture Bakhmut, without Wagner, Russia doesn't have enough troops to attack and retake the whole Bakhmut area and restart that offensive without weakening the reserves and the southern front line enough for a breakthrough to happen there. Overall, Ukraine is just trying to keep pressure on all fronts to make it so Russia can't reallocate their reserves and potentially find a weak spot in the Bakhmut defense and do some sort of breakthrough. And that's all I got for you guys. It feels actually really nice to be making videos again. I think the one I'm going to put out tomorrow is going to be like the most important weapons in the war, or the ones that have had the biggest impact. Equipment is my severe blind spot and weak area when it comes to reporting on this kind of stuff. So if you have any suggestions, feel free to drop them down. And that's what we've got. I think I'll probably make an update video later tonight, so that'll be like 3 hours or so. Maybe I'll do it earlier. I don't know. I'm tired as a dog. And that's what I got. I'm sorry my upload schedule's been so inconsistent. I guess I will sit down at the fire table and we'll have a little talk. Now I have to find stock, no copyright cabin footage. But I had been traveling since like June 5th or so. I've never have taken a break from Ukraine ever since I started reporting on it back in September, really since the war even started, because I'd always check the ISW maps in times when I shouldn't have been. But I finally had like a solid string of days where I just didn't have access to any devices. I was just out enjoying myself, doing a ton of stuff, and I finally feel really refreshed and ready to make videos again, because those 3 weeks where I would just randomly go on breaks, that's because I was feeling burnt out and I didn't want to make a video unless there was something I absolutely needed to talk about. But now I'm getting that sort of like the last week of December thing I had going, where I just want to make videos about the topic and start spreading more information. And that's what I'm going to do. Don't trust me, because I'm probably going to fold again for 3 more weeks. But even if I do, I still probably love you. Unless your name is Fucks. Alright, see you guys later.